Hello and welcome. My name's Brett Baker, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to Josh Katina, who's actually not that far away considering some of the interviews I've done of late, which have been Colombia and Taiwan and places like that. So uh, I assume, Josh, that you're in London at the moment.
I am indeed. I'm just up in the northwest of London, which is actually pretty convenient for my place of work.
We should talk a little bit about where you come from, um, your sort of background, where you started playing, and then uh, you, very briefly your journey into then getting into the London trombone scene, as it were.
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks ever so much for chatting to me, Brett. It's very kind of you and to everyone at Wick. But yeah, I started playing when I was about 10 years old. I started on the trumpet for about 6 months, but that obviously was not meant to be. And I quickly progressed to the trombone. I had a fantastic teacher down in Cheltenham in the local music service called Tony Shepherd. Um, and I then, after about 3, 4 months, I started in the Cheltenham Silver Band training band, which was my local band at the time. And their bass trombone player had unfortunately just passed away. And so there was a vacancy. And so, aged about 11, I was handed this massive old Bach 50B bass trombone. And that's really all how it fell into place. So I never really played much of trumpet or tenor trombone. It's just been bass, 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 which I realize is quite unusual, but it seems to be kind of going okay. So I've been enjoying it.
Well, we should explain to the people that might be watching this in the United States that Cheltenham is close to the Welsh border in England, and in sort of in between the Midlands and the west of England. Yeah, so no, that's brilliant. And then what happened then?
Um, well, my family kind of relocated all over the country, but I played for various different brass bands, such as Blackburn and Darwin. And then while I was at the Royal Northern College, I was with the Fairy Band and also helped out Black Dyke a little bit with yourself, Brett, and bands like Corey, and just had a great time. I love the banding scene, before eventually slowly progressing into orchestras to turn it into a full-time job, as it were. But that's a slightly different thing.
No, well, no, exactly. And I mean, so how long have you sort of lived in the London area now? It's got to be 5, 6 years.
Oh yeah, about that. I moved down in 2016. I finished at the Royal Northern where I did my undergrad and came to a postgrad at the academy, just kind of to see how it went. Really, I had no interest in moving down to London. I was really happy in Manchester, really happy at fairies and banding and stuff, and then just decided to push myself. Really, I wanted a new challenge, a new goal. So thought, great, I'll go and do a master's at the academy with Bob Hughes, my teacher there, and Keith McNichol, who were fantastic. And it all kind of just ended up slotting into place. I thought I'd do a year or so and then maybe head up back to Manchester, and eventually just enjoyed it and thought, well, actually, this is great. I love it. And I mean, all over the UK is fantastic for music, especially banding and things like that. However, for what I was doing at the time, which was becoming more orchestral, London's this fantastic melting pot where you've got so many different orchestras, chamber orchestras, symphony orchestras, BBC, the opera houses, the ballet, and so there's just so much going on, and I just really enjoyed the excitement at the time, and ended up sticking around.
I guess it's a good time to talk about the quartet as well. And how was that formed? Did that take place prior to being in London, or was that during your time there?
I know we formed just after I left the Royal Academy, actually, while a couple of them were still studying there. We just had one single goal, actually. We wanted to get to the final of the International Trombone Association quartet competition. And we all thought, like, we're never going to do a concert, we're never going to do a Facebook page or a website or anything. We just want to do this competition. And then, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it all snowballed out of control. And then, actually, thanks to the likes of Denis Wick, we kind of became a professional outfit and have been having a really nice time ever since then.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I can remember actually hearing the group at the ITA, and I can remember hearing you. I think was it the year before playing in the solo competition of the ITA. So I mean, and that's going back a while now. But no, it's great to be able to chart the progress and see how well the group's doing. And it's good to see that everybody's stuck with it, because in a lot of groups, players tend to change around quite a bit because of personal circumstances and things like that. So I think it's great to see that stability. What is it that you love about playing bass trombone, and why do you play a Dennis Wick mouthpiece?
Oh, the bass trombone. Well, as I explained earlier, it was kind of slightly fate that chose it. But I just love the role that it plays within a section. I love in an orchestra, for example, I love that I play with the tuba often in octaves, and support the trombone section and support the brass section as a whole. And it's a similar role in the brass band. You know, you're part of the color there. You're coloring the basses. You're adding a little bit more definition. It's all about the articulation and stuff like that. And I love the way that the sound of bass trombone can change the ensemble it's in. I mean, like any instrument, and I'm sure lots of musicians would say the same thing. But I love that kind of ability and being able to make choices that have a big impact on this massive machine, whether it's an orchestra or a band or whatever you're doing. It's just really exciting to be a small cog in that kind of big gearbox, as it were. And that's for the Dennis Wick mouthpiece. I kind of came to it all by accident, actually. Steve got in touch with me, Stephen Wick, Dennis's son, and just said, would you like to try some sometime? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I was quite happy playing a mouthpiece from a very well-established brand for my entire playing career to that point, and was totally happy with it. There's a few little niggles, but I just assumed that was myself. And anyway, put in a Dennis Wick 2 NAL, and bang, it was genuinely much better for me personally. That might not be the case for everyone. However, you know, it's a personal choice, and there are pairings of mouthpieces to certain instruments that make a big difference. But what I liked about it was just how easy it was to play, really. There was much less thought and kind of worry going into each note. A lot of things were more intuitive. You know, across the range of the instrument, which is important on bass trombone, you know, you are basically being called on to play in around kind of 3-4 octaves in kind of most concerts. So that was one of the main things I was looking for, and it had the depth of sound that I wanted. You know, you can change the color. You're not just looking at one kind of type of sound all the time, which personally doesn't interest me so much. So that's why, really, it's fantastic.
Very, very finally, what would you do if you didn't play the bass trombone?
Oh, there's a couple of things. I might be an organist. I've always loved the organ. I kind of love the power of that instrument. That probably answers partly why I played the bass trombone, because it can also take out any ensemble at any given moment. But if it wasn't musically related, I would be an engineer or a product designer, for example, working in kind of a workshop somewhere, having a nice time playing with various tools.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Josh, and best of luck with everything that you're doing. And we'll look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Nice one. Thank you, Brett.
My pleasure.